Now, what will Brendan Sorsby do about it? Well, his lawyer, Jeffrey Kessler, and remember, when Kessler was first hired by Sorsby, I said, hey, this is perfect because he can do battle with the NCAA. He has been a thorn in their side in recent years. And then, if need be, he can do battle with the NFL. He's been a thorn in their side for decades. And that thorn is going to start throbbing. He told Pete Thamel of ESPN that the refusal to allow Brendan Sorsby into the supplemental draft violates both the collective bargaining agreement and the law, and that he'll be immediately in touch with the NFLPA. So there's two different ways this can be fought. One, and it all depends upon what the union thinks of this. The union may say, we have no dog in this fight, Tom Brady prior to the Super Bowl involving the Patriots style. We got no dog in this fight. It's not up to us to decide who gets in and who doesn't. Yes, the procedure for the supplemental draft is in the CBA, but the CBA gives the NFL the exclusive discretion to have a draft or not, and we're not going to fight them on it. They could do that. But even if the union doesn't take up this fight, Kessler can go to court on Sorsby's behalf and try to get relief, temporary restraining order, preliminary injunction. I would assume they'd file something in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, right in the NFL's backyard, and they would try to get an immediate ruling that the NFL must have a supplemental draft. And when you look at the CBA language, Sorsby fits within it. He wasn't eligible in April. He is eligible now. He's put in his 3 years since graduation from high school. That's the only requirement. See, there's no purity test that applies to being eligible for the draft. There's no retroactive application of NFL rules that couldn't apply to somebody who isn't employed by the NFL. Are you eligible? Have you put in your 3 years? Yes. Did you go from not eligible when we did the draft in April to eligible now? Yes. Boom. That's it. It's not about whether or not Brendan Sorsby properly demonstrates grief and accountability and explains what happened and satisfies the NFL that he's not going to violate their policies. That doesn't matter. You don't walk through the door promising the NFL, I'm not going to violate policies. You walk through the door with the policies applicable to you, and if you violate them, there's a consequence. And when you think of it that way, that makes the Kayshon Boutte and Hunter Decker's situation even more glaring. The NFL applied no impediment. They're subject to gambling rules now, but what happens before you are 3 years removed from high school and eligible to enter the draft, either in April or in a supplemental draft, that doesn't matter. That's the common sense argument. Setting aside the PR notion of he needs to be accountable. The NFL's job isn't to mete out accountability for gambling violations that happened when a kid was 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old. The NFL has to look at two things. Have you been out of high school long enough? And were you not eligible in April, and are you eligible now? See, I thought they'd try to concoct an argument that you knew or should have known you were eligible in April, you should have entered the draft then. That at least would find some support in the language of the CBA. The more I think about the letter that was sent to Sorsby, the more I think it is a blatant violation of the CBA. There's nothing in the CBA that gives the NFL the ability to say, well, okay, we know you're eligible, but we don't know about you. We need to do some work here, and we don't have enough time to do the work. So we'll see you in April. The impact is he loses the opportunity to be drafted now. He loses the opportunity to be on a roster this year, and he gets thrown into the pool with all the guys who will have played football in 2026. And I wonder if there's a way he can play football. I don't know. Can he go play for a community college? Can he go to the CFL? I don't know. He's going to have some decisions to make. But look, I know that more than a few people have made the argument, and I didn't like the way Texas Tech made this idea. Well, there's guys out there who have killed people or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, let's be realistic about it. In the grand scheme of things that players have done that fall into the category of antisocial behaviors, do we really give a shit about $2, $3 bets? Are we more troubled by that than a guy who pleaded guilty to choking his pregnant girlfriend? That guy became Tyreek Hill. He's never been suspended by the NFL. So the situation stinks. Even without the NFL and its owners making significant money from the very gambling culture that lured Brendan Sorsby in, even without that, it stinks. When you throw in the gambling and how much the NFL makes from it, and the NFL didn't have to do it. I remember there was a time the commissioner said, well, you know, we needed to be involved in that space. We needed to have the relationships with the sports books so they'll give us information when we have players who are betting when they shouldn't be betting. Come on. You didn't have to do that. They could have hated gambling as much now as they did when sports betting was only legal in Nevada. They despised it. They wanted nothing to do with it. They actively fought against efforts to legalize it. Remember, the commissioner said in 2012 that if widespread legalized gambling arrives, normal incidents of the game will be viewed as evidence of game fixing and point shaving and match rigging. And that all went out the window because there was too much money to be made. And that's fine. But I think it's an obligation to be realistic about what it's done to a generation of kids and what it will keep doing. As more and more kids grow up in this age where DraftKings and FanDuel is no different than Coke and Pepsi, and they see it everywhere, and everybody they know is doing it. Do you really expect every one of these kids who eventually become good enough to play in the NFL to make the best possible decisions when they're 18? And you're going to hold it against them because you think there needs to be a pound of flesh, because you need to maintain integrity, when the NFL is part of the reason why kids like Brendan Sorsby are involved in gambling, even if it's underage. Come on. I mean, let's be realistic. You got plenty of kids who drink underage. Does the NFL keep anybody out because they were drinking underage? So, again, this stinks. And we're going to continue to cover it, and we will be objective when it comes to the facts, but I reserve the right to voice my opinion. And I think the NFL is wrong here. I think this is grossly unfair, and it sets a very bad precedent, and it makes the NFL look very hypocritical when it comes to the millions it's making from gambling, and now it's going to delay a player's career for what? Window dressing? Moralizing? Do as we say, not as we do? We'll have more at profootballtalk.com. I'm sure we'll have plenty more tomorrow on PFTPM. And who knows, maybe I'll be back again later tonight when the lawsuit's filed. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.